everybody. My name is Rachel Herrera and I'm with Kubit. And today in our Data Detective series, we're going to talk about how we should start to model product data within our data warehouse. So one of Kubit's core tenets is that the data warehouse is the center of the universe and all the data should end up there. But then becomes the question of how do I get it? What's the right method and kind of way to organize this data so that it works best for me? So let's take a look at what I typically see work pretty well. We'd love to hear your thoughts. But everything begins and ends and starts with a product, right? So you've got some digital product. It's got widgets and buttons and all kinds of stuff that your end users use. And when they use it, they're generating a bunch of data. Now you want to collect that data. Maybe you're using a homegrown SDK or a snowplow, segment, RudderStack, high touch, etc. Either way, that data needs to be collected because you want to do behavioral analysis with it. You want to measure user engagement, consumption, conversion, etc. So as that data is being collected, what should the end result be so that it can really turbocharge how you're going to analyze that data and make best use of it? We feel strongly that a star schema is sort of the best version of this inside of your warehouse. And that always starts with a central fact table, which is where all of your events are going to live. And when we say events, this is simply just actions that users are taking. And so you're going to need to have information like a timestamp and some sort of user ID or cust ID, anonymous ID, session ID, all the different identifiers to say where and when did that particular event happen. And then some dimensions about the particular event itself. But there's also all these other dimensions that end up being required because you want to do segmentation off of all kinds of things. Maybe it's about the user. How long have they been a user? Where were they originally coming from? What marketing campaign source brought them here? Or maybe you're on some sort of paid plan. What plan are they on? Have they recently upgraded their plan? One of my personal favorites is around A/B testing. So are you doing testing and what are the assignments looking like for those particular users? And how is it impacting events pre and post assignment? Or even another dimension around possibly the session itself. How long was it? On what kind of device within that session were there particular feature flags enabled? And so when you structure your data like this, you let it sort of grow with you versus having to contend with one giant table that you may need to completely re-architect if you all of a sudden adopt a new pricing strategy or a new user identification system. In this model, you're really only addressing a single table, but you're always sort of keeping the central fact tables intact. What this also helps you do is really optimize on your querying and your compute, because when you retrieve rows from these different tables, the join conditions are really what's going to determine what rows get returned versus hitting an entire wide, large table and possibly combing through millions, if not trillions of rows. So this is why we feel like a star schema is kind of the best, most durable way to get at this problem. And in tools like Kubit, we would allow you to model this. And then as you're building queries on the fly, they're doing these joins and really using the horsepower of those different warehouses. So we'd love to hear your thoughts, but this is kind of how we see the world. Let us know what you think and appreciate the time.